Hello YouTube, Southern Wolverine here. We got another 1 versus 1 Rome 2 multiplayer battle. Here is the general of my Odrysian Kingdom's army. And after the other day playing that large battle, I decided I'd do another one. So I got my fiancée Sarah to play against me. She is using Rome. As I said, I'm using the Odrysian Kingdom. So let me just skim through my army real quick here. I have 6 Thracian warriors. I believe it's 6. 4 here and then 2 to the flank. I have, I think, 6 again of these Thracian nobles behind them. Very dangerous melee unit. Look at their stats. That's just crazy. 76 attack, 63 charge, 51 weapon damage. Of course, that melee defense 4 doesn't do them a lot of favors, but still very dangerous on the offense. And I have 4 of these mercenary hoplites, which is the only spear unit available to the Odrysian kingdoms. So I've got 2 of them out to either flank, so they're kind of reinforcing the edges should I get attacked by cavalry. And then I have a skirmish. I think 5 of these cheap Thracian slingers. Now these guys are only 270 apiece, or 280 or something like that, and you'll see why they're that cheap coming up. Well, clearly their stats are not terribly impressive. Missile damage is only 15, not great. And these Thracian skirmishers, I have 3 of them, the intention being to use these guys against heavy infantry, which the Romans will typically pack a lot of, or to help out against cavalry by hitting them with their missile damage 40 javelins. Alright, so then I also have 8 units of cavalry, 2 units of these cheap Thracian horsemen for 450. This is not a bad unit. Their protection's not great, so they'll take missile damage and that pretty quickly. However, I do have 6 of these Thracian royal cavalry, 3 of them to this side and 3 to the other side, hidden in these forests. So there we go. Alright, let's go ahead and get things moving. See, there's the other 3 Thracian cavalry. And we're on the Pella map. So this, of course, we have the 2 opposing hills, which is one of the reasons I brought a fair-sized skirmish force, because you kind of expect to stand on these hills and you try to skirmish the other person into engaging you. The other trick on this map is you can move through this forest. You can try to turn a flank and come up the hill from this direction while holding them from the front. It is a little risky to split your force, but that's an option you can do. If you can turn one side or the other, you can try to take the hill from either a less steep direction or just from multiple directions, so you can try to take it. And if you can hold both of these hills and push your opponent out onto the plain, you've got a pretty good advantage. Now you're seeing, of course, this Roman heavy onager unit trundling out onto the top of the hill. This is a pretty brutal spot for this unit. I was not expecting artillery. Neither of us typically uses artillery. So this was a bit of a surprise. So I brought all my troops out onto the hill up here, and then I see these guys cranking their arms back and hurling giant rocks out at me. Fortunately, I've got the cheaper Thracian warriors out in front, and I wasn't taking hits onto my very expensive Thracian nobles. So I'm going to try to pull these guys back into hiding behind the hill or in the forest, and the Thracian slingers will take any hits that are out there. Now, I had been bringing these 2 Thracian horsemen units around the hill, one to either side, to act as scouts, you know, so I was going to run them around the sides to try to find them. Now, however, they have a much more important job to do. So they're both just going to run right up the hill. Since there's no infantry or anything here to stop them, they're just going to come right up the middle. And now if there had been one of those units of Triarii standing here, this would not have worked. And I do take a few hits as I come in. And we got some arrows coming in from a formation of Syrian heavy archers over here. However, I was able to get these 2 light, fast Thracian horseman units into these heavy onagers, and that's pretty much going to be it for them. So that's a fairly expensive unit taken out by two fairly cheap cavalry units. And now the general has withdrawn, fearing an attack from these guys, while you're going to see the Praetorian cavalry over here react and drive these guys off in a second. But they have achieved their objective of routing out this heavy onager unit. Okay, so that being accomplished, these units have already done their job, and now I'm going to try to use them to get at these Syrian archers. But that's not going to work as this eagle cohort's in the way, so after a brief engagement, I'm going to end up pulling these guys out. So now Sarah's got her troops split up into two groups. She has, I want to say, 5 Praetorian Guard. Or maybe, no, it's 4 Praetorian Guard, 4 Eagle Cohort, 5 Triarii, 4 Praetorian Cavalry, the heavy onagers, and 4 auxiliary Syrian archers. So you see my cavalry, I just gave them that order to pull out as they're going to get swamped. The 2 units of Praetorian Cavalry were split out, 2 over here, 2 over there, and the 2 on this side are reacting to get these guys out of here. These Thracian horsemen really have no hope of holding up to something like a Praetorian Cavalry. Like I said, Praetorian Guard a second ago. Even this general bodyguard didn't really take any losses from that charge, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to take the time to assassinate the general now. These Praetorian Cavalry are just going to kill me. And actually, they do catch my trailing unit, and you'll see them just start to melt here under this kind of assault. So they're going to rout, but they will recover later. This one unit, though, is getting away and is going to come after the Syrian archers. So the other side is you've got the 4 Praetorian Guards over here backed up by all the Triarii. This side you've got the 4 Eagle Cohort and the 4 Syrian archers. So the first 2 Syrian archers skirmished away, but since I got even with these guys, these 2 units here, I was able to charge sideways at them, which means when they do their skirmish thing, they actually come out away from me, and they come out to the side away from reinforcing troops. So I was able to get into them pretty good and drive them away. Meanwhile, my cavalry here has been sneaking through the woods, these 3 Thracian Royal Cavalry, and I'm going to bring one of these units out to engage and destroy this other Syrian archer. Alright, so while all that's kind of going on, it's not really skirmishing, but I kind of consider it part of the skirmish battle, which I'm doing quite well in at the moment. I took out the heavy onagers. I'm doing significant damage to these expensive Syrian archers with, again, a fairly cheap cavalry unit and a fairly expensive one. But I actually see this unit has already recovered from routing, and it's actually still got 30 men left in it. So meanwhile, I've moved up my main force. I've got the Thracian warriors still in front, spears reinforcing the flanks still, and the Thracian nobles up on the hilltop to keep them out of sight for a little bit longer and to protect them from any missile fire that might happen. And the Thracian skirmishers, I'm keeping them back to save their javelins for a nice juicy target, and the Thracian Royal Cavalry are waiting for their opportunity to strike as well. So having done a lot of damage to the skirmishers over here, I believe I destroyed 1 unit, and I took another unit down about half strength, although it is going to regroup and come back into the fight. I just pull these guys back into the woods and pull these Thracian horsemen out to rejoin their friends. So basically, I still have effectively 1 unit of Thracian horsemen. I've lost about half of them from each unit. So now I'm beginning to hit these Praetorian Guard with missiles, and they haven't taken much damage. But considering these missiles are coming from these 5 units combined are about the same cost as this Praetorian Guard unit. So any damage I do with them is a nice plus. So I've taken out about 11 of them, which is, you know, kind of nice, but it's not really going to change the battle one way or the other. So now there's a couple units of Syrian archers up on the hill, and these guys are actually still unprotected. These guys really should have at least one of those units of Triarii or something protecting them, because if I had realized they were up here exposed like that, I would have brought those Thracian horsemen back in for another quick charge to try to knock a few of those guys out. So now we're at a bit of a stalemate as we're as I'm bringing up my forces, and the Roman troops have temporarily drawn back into these trees to avoid missile fire, as the missile troops have, see, there's that unit coming back from routing, as their missile troops are returning to the fight and trying to get repositioned to face off against my skirmishers. Now, these auxiliary Syrian archers have the same range as my slingers, of course, and they are much, much better than my slingers. So I outnumber them about 2 to 1. But again, very cheap missile units on this side. So I'm just looking for something else to do with these Thracian horsemen. I want to keep scouting. I want to find where those Praetorian cavalry went. So I'm just going to start running these Thracian cavalry, which are these guys here. They're going to try to come around this way. And already we see 2 of the Praetorian cavalry. They didn't take any losses in that initial engagement, which I didn't really expect. These Thracian cavalry aren't going to be really enough to get the job done. So we've got the skirmish fight starting in the center here. We see the Syrian archers are taking a focused fire from basically all of my Thracian slingers. And I'm still coming out on the wrong side of this fight at the moment. Look at how quickly these guys have taken that much damage. And they're done. Look at, I mean, and their morale 25 doesn't keep them in the fight terribly well. So let's watch this without the user interface. Watch all these missiles flying around. Ooh. These guys, it's hard to take these guys seriously in these hoods. That's yeah, that's like the Thracian hat that they wore, but still. Remember your training. I'm not sure you had any training actually with the quality of this particular unit. They are doing some decent damage to this unit of Syrian archers, but these guys actually have a fair amount of armor for missile units, and they're not taking damage really fast. And my slingers only have attack 25. I love all the sling stones rolling downhill, and yeah, it's kind of neat. Alright, so I did get rid of that one unit, but it's costing me pretty dearly, because this unit's about to rout as well. I say dearly. I'm losing a lot of men, but I'm not taking a lot of value lost. Now these Thracian Royal Cavalry moved out to threaten the flank, which I like to do. However, Sarah elected to turn these Eagle cohorts to face them so that they wouldn't get flank charged by cavalry. But I'm going to bring the cavalry in anyway. These are melee cav. They should do a pretty good job against enemy infantry. And this also gave me a chance to get a 2-on-1 charge Thracian warriors versus these Eagle cohorts. And you see on that charge, these Thracian warriors, again, not great defense, but good charge, good attack. So you see very quickly this Eagle cohort is being depleted. And it's lost a quarter of its numbers already, a third of its numbers even. And it gets even worse for them as I've peeled out the 2 mercenary hoplites to protect against a potential counterattack by the Praetorian Guard. And I'm bringing 2 of my Thracian nobles out into this fight. As I said, it's the idea here being to turn this flank. I realized the missile fight was not going as well as I would have liked. So if I can turn this flank, I can maybe take the hill and flank this other more dangerous force. So here comes the Thracian nobles just closing the door on these Eagle cohort. And they're not going to be able to take that for long. These guys are pretty much done for. And these Thracian nobles are going to get a nice charge into the back of these Eagle cohorts, who are already fighting Thracian Royal Cav and losing to them. So yeah, they were holding out reasonably well until these Thracian nobles got into them. And this unit is actually still holding but taking a lot of losses. It actually says my cavalry are losing this battle. But they're doing a lot of damage and not taking a lot of losses. These guys aren't quite as good maybe as I thought they were when I took them. But so now we're seeing some units reacting. And it's really just this one Eagle cohort, but I was concerned as this battle's going on that there were more troops here, perhaps some of those Praetorian Guard. So having destroyed 2.5 units of Eagle cohort, I just pulled back this attack as it's pretty much done what I wanted. I suffered relatively few losses in that attack. This one Thracian warrior unit got pretty well mauled, but I was able to knock out a bunch of units with the encourage ability, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, while I was watching that, though, this one unit Praetorian Guard got up the hill and got the charge on my Thracian warriors, and that's really bad news for them. You see, they're getting pretty well crushed by these guardsmen. So now what I want to do is I want to get nice clean charges of all my Thracian nobles onto these Praetorian Guard. So I'm actually going to pull out my lesser Falksmen, and I'll charge the Thracian nobles through friendly lines. So let's watch some of these charges happening. So these guys got a little caught up, but here's a good charge coming. So these guys are actually ordered over there, and this unit's going to come into these guys. So, yeah, the two of the elites of the game, some of the best melee cavalry out there, or melee infantry out there, rather, duking it out here. So, and look how fast these Praetorian Guard are dropping. This was a fresh unit, and they're down 100 guys just like that. Let me go into slow motion because there's a lot of fights going across the board here. So this Thracian noble got a good charge off on these Praetorian Guard, and you see they've lost almost 60 men already to 10 of these nobles. Again, now here, having peeled off 2 of my Thracian nobles for that fight on the other flank, I didn't have enough to face off with all these Praetorian Guards, so this one is actually fighting 2-on-1, or against 2 rather, of my Thracian warriors. And it's taking a lot of damage too, although my Thracian warriors are going to start taking a pounding here momentarily. I had also moved out the cavalry on this wing, and while I was doing all these attacks with the infantry, they got counterattacked by the Praetorian cavalry coming out of the trees. So the Praetorian cavalry have mostly grouped up over here, although I do believe there's a unit still back in the woods. So now I'm going to try to pull this cavalry out and try to get these Praetorians to fight my spears and bring these cavalry in to help mop up these guardsmen. I didn't realize just how much damage my charge did, so I didn't really need the help in here. So now most of those Praetorian Guards have been killed at this point or routed. So now that leaves Triarii fighting against Thracian nobles and melee infantry, which is not really what they want to be doing. So also the Thracian skirmishers are doing a pretty good job routing. Now I just traded a Thracian warrior there for a Triarii, which is a trade I'll take all day. And some more of these Triarii and Eagle cohort are now getting swamped by more of my melee troops coming down. At this point, there's just not enough melee troops left to hold off all of my, I was going to say sword units, but they're really not sword units, all of my Falks units. And the cavalry are coming in here for an attack also, as this Eagle cohort and the general are still trying to figure out what to do about this situation. So here's another one. Watch these Thracian nobles come on down into these. As you see the Thracian horsemen up there attacking the general. Yeah, this is just not where these Triarii want to be, although they're still solid enough that you're going to see them take out a few of my guys. But they are falling apart quickly. Took a downhill charge from a unit with that kind of brutal statistics. You don't expect a spear unit to last long, even one of the better spear units that's out there. So pretty much across the board, the Triarii are being routed without the guardsmen around. Not much you can really expect them to do there. And I did get my spears into these Praetorian cavalry, and then my own cavalry, the Royal Cav, has come over to reinforce them, and it's going to drive all of them off as well. So on the battle results screen, see the onagers didn't really pay for themselves. If they had been protected by a Triarii unit, they would have been able to sit there and hit me for quite some time. And the Praetorian cavalry, very dangerous formation, the 4 of these units, but they weren't able to do a lot either. Oh, excuse me. The auxiliary Syrian archers, gee, I wonder which one got hit by the cavalry. Maybe that one. The rest of them did quite well. 99 here, 89, 167. Yeah, they were messing up my skirmishers pretty good. And they even got some shots into my melee troops as well. The Eagle cohort, with the exception of this one, didn't do a whole lot. This was, I don't know which unit that was actually. That might have been the one that came in late on that flank. The other ones on that flank got beat up pretty good. And the Praetorian Guard got pretty well dominated by that downhill charge from all those Falksmen. They still got some decent kills, some of them. These two were probably the ones. One of these was the ones that got the charge into my Falks, which was really bad for me. And then the other one was probably the one that was fighting my, what do you call them, the Thracian warriors as opposed to the Thracian nobles. Although some of these Triarii coming in late actually did a surprising amount of damage. But in any case, the stars of the army for me were really these Thracian nobles. These 4 units, and this one down here, 5 units of them had over 100 kills. And this one somehow managed to go unengaged the entire time. I'm not sure quite what happened there. I thought I had gotten well into combat at some point. But in any case, the cavalry, some of them did okay. The light cavalry actually did pretty well. 190 kills between the 2 units, which isn't half bad. The Thracian Royal Cavalry didn't have a lot to do. These were the 3 units that were on the left flank. They didn't spend a lot of time engaged until the very end. And these 3 Thracian Royal Cavalry did some damage to the melee troops in that attack from my right flank. Skirmishers did some damage against the heavy infantry, which was nice. Didn't really change the battle much. And the slingers were more or less a waste. The hoplites, I didn't end up really needing them much. These 2 units did a good job holding up my left flank, or holding up the cavalry on my left flank, keeping them from getting into my infantry. And some of these Falksmen, even the lesser Thracian warriors, did some good damage. Except for the one that got charged by those Praetorian guards, which pretty much failed and died. But in any case, good game, Sarah. Thanks for playing with me, despite the not knowing what you were facing in a new faction, I guess. If you guys like this video, please like this video with the button down below. Comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'm Southern Wolverine, and this has been more Rome 2 Total War Multiplayer. Have a good day, everyone.